So I just felt like saying this really quickly. This is why I do not identify as this is why I don't identify as a certain group. Not a black woman, not a black person, or even if I was so called what you would call white, I wouldn't want to identify with that. I would not want to identify. Number one is because the number one reason, the most important reason, is that you have to identify yourself as a soul. You are a soul first, okay? You are having a humankind experience at this point because you're not really human. You're not in the real world. And so for that reason, I don't even want to identify with anybody. I know I'm inside of a computer. I'm literally a ghost inside of the machine. That's why it's called the Holy Ghost. Why would you need the Holy Ghost if you're not a ghost? I know I'm a ghost inside the machine, inside of a machine. Okay? And so with that being said, I don't want to identify with anything that's in this particular program. I don't want to be identified with black people. You really don't want to be identified with the group of people that insist on staying at the bottom. They're not on the bottom because somebody else keeps pushing them down. Because I'm going to tell you something. When you decide, not to say it's going to be easy, but when you decide to let the ego to die daily to your flesh, or that the church call it the flesh, I'll call it the ego. The church will call it the flesh. The church will call it your carnal nature. I call it the ego. Okay, you have other people on YouTube or whatever spiritualists. They say the ego. The church say your flesh, your carnal nature. Okay, either way, when you make a decision and you take steps daily, even if it's a little minuscule, little something, to die daily to your flesh, there is really not anybody who's going to be able to stop you from making progress spiritually. Now you can have stuff to get on your way, a so-called devil that get on your way, which is really, in this particular kind of world, we have what's called a shadow. And sometimes what we want to call the shadow, the devil is really the shadow that gives trouble, gives us problems. But I don't want to identify with a group of people that's in this simulation. They're at the bottom, but they're not at the bottom because somebody is just picking with them. They're at the bottom because they refuse to rise spiritually. When you look at the people who are so-called black, when you look at those people who are doing the work, who are choosing to work on themselves, nothing's really holding them back. Now they might get on their platform because they build a big platform out of black women and black men suffering, right? And so they build a platform off of that. But when you look at their life, if they really doing the work on themselves, you can even the men, women and men, I can tell when I watch them that they are doing the work. And some of their complaints, it's not even their own lives. Like, why do the work for yourself and complain about what's happening in somebody else's life? You don't know their karma. You don't know their karma. Because this whole thing is like, everything is cause and effect. Okay? So like, why work on yourself and then get so upset? I can see, I can see having compassion. See, nothing's wrong with compassion. But I don't want to get so upset and bent out of shape over what happens in somebody else's life. I don't know them. I don't know anything about them, right? So, but what I'm saying is, so you can tell the people who's doing the work, they're not really having problems like that. They might have just daily life stuff, just like anybody else can have a life issue. But other than that, they not really having those kind of problems that black people say they have. They not really having it because they're doing the work with it. That stuff is not attracted to them. Okay. So I was looking at a video, and this video showed a black woman and a white man getting into an argument. They were both outside. I don't know if it was a store or where it was, but I don't know if the white man was telling her to move her car. Because she was parked right in front of him. So I'm guessing he was trying to tell her to get out the way. Okay. I don't know, because the whoever cut on the camera started recording after he already stepped outside his SUV and they were in an argument. So the black woman went and got her bat, and that's when the white man walked away. So he walked away, and it wasn't good enough that he walked away. She took her bat and she hit the doggone rearview mirror on the passenger side, and the guy had somebody on the passenger side of his SUV. Okay, he had somebody else in the car. And she hit the rearview mirror and knocked it. And I think she kept trying to hit the doggone windows, and they were pretty hard to break. And so he got in his car. The white man got in his car. And when he got in his car, he hit the gas and rammed into the back of her car and kept pushing it. Pushed her car, I don't know how many feet, probably about 200 feet. He kept pushing her car. Rammed into the back of her car. Okay, I don't know. She kept hitting his car with this bat, and she broke out she broke out the back window and stuff like that. But I don't think she put a dent in his SUV. I don't know. His SUV must be pretty strong. I don't know if he was military or what. Okay, because he messed her car up pretty good. You know, but this is why I say this is the point where the person who reacted to that particular, because that was a TikTok video, and the person who reacted to that video said, "Black women, we know black women got an attitude problem. We know black women got a bad temper." I said, "See, this is why I do not want to identify as a black woman, because identifying as a black woman comes with a laundry list of issues that will attach to you." I don't care who wants to call it self-hate, because anybody who calls that self-hate is because they're either the enemy, they're the devil, or they just don't know. Why would you identify with a group of people with all kind of negativity attached to them? The black woman have some of the most negative stereotypes attached to her. See that thing right there? See, black women have a bad temper. See, that let me know when she said that black women have a bad temper. But see, sometimes you never know who you messing with. That was she was saying that the black women. So see, that's I don't care for that. I don't care for that stereotype. I know black women are a trip, but I have also seen black women who know how to contain themselves too. But those kind of black women are not seen, because the ones who are real ghetto, who are real hood, are the ones who stand out the most. The ones who are real hood overshadow the ones who mind their own business. Okay, and just pretty much even even tempered. And so what happens is black women just have a reputation of having a bad temper. I said that's what I can't associate with that group. I can't associate with a black woman because you have too much negativity attached to you as a group, to the point where it does no good for you to work on yourself. It does no good to do the work. If you attach yourself to a group with a bunch of negativity, a bunch of negative energy attached to it, then it does no good to do the work on yourself. You know? And you're always going to see yourself in a struggle, because you're identifying with a group of people that they cannot get out of the struggle. You're identifying with a group of people who are literally cursed. They're cursed, but the curse is in their minds, not anywhere else. The curse is in their minds, okay? And you identify with a group of people who are cursed. I don't want to identify with a group of people who are cursed. Here's my thing. If God turned, I'm going to say God, I'm not going to give a gender to it. I'm not going to say he is or her. I'm not going to say whatever. If God turned their back on this group of people, why would I want to associate with them? If God said, forget you, I don't want nothing to do with you, not my people, God said, not my people, and then I don't want to associate with you. Like, if God don't want nothing to do with you, why am I going to associate with you? You're cursed. Why would I associate with the cursed people? And you're talking about the cursed people that refuse correction. They literally refuse correction. Black women collectively, black men collectively refuse correction, and they continue to have children to birth the black community. Cursed people need to stop having kids, because the curse is in your mind. And if you never try to ever correct yourself, never better yourself spiritually, more than anything, spiritually, because you need to better yourself spiritually. You need to raise your conscience. When you have people that refuse to do that, That's a recipe for disaster to have kids. You have kids birthed out of a low vibrational group of people. And I'm going to call myself black? They say self-hate. Okay, that's because black people like to do that. You know what? You see this ship has sunk. And you don't want to identify with the sunken ship. And you have self-hate because you don't want to jump in that sunken ass ship. You're accused of having self-hate. Absolutely not. So when I heard that lady say, when she reacted to that TikTok video that black woman and that white man get into that argument, and she said, the lady who reacted said, see, black women have a temper. I said, see, right there. Right there. So that means the women who don't have a bad temper don't get the credit for just minding their own doggone business. Because they're associated with a group of people that have a bad temper. Even if they don't have a bad temper themselves, they're associated with this group. And the person, even if a black woman don't have a bad temper, somebody can push her buttons. They might put their hands on her to the point where she has to fight back, and she's accused of being an angry black woman because, like anybody else, she just has to defend herself. She can't just be pushed around, but she'd be called an angry black woman for doing that because she's associated with a group of people who are just wild. Okay? Not to say that white folks ain't wild, or not to say that other people ain't wild, but I'm talking about black people. Okay? But anyway, that'll be it, and I will talk later.